Good afternoon, listeners. Thanks for joining us for Elko Live today. I'm your host, Lori Gilbert. Today's going to be an interesting hybrid program, if you will. We're going to combine the comments from yesterday's regular Elko County Commission meeting concerning the cancellation of the Veterans Day Parade. We're hearing from people in the community who said, "What? Why is there no Veterans Day Parade?" It simply comes down to, it seems as though there was some miscommunication, and frankly, some folks may have taken the process for granted. Basically, it seems as though it fell through the cracks, sadly. And whether or not there is time to salvage and host a Veterans Day Parade, I guess that would be up to the community. So we'll connect some of those dots, but just wanted to play for you from the Elko County Commission meeting yesterday, and it has been edited just to suffice, just to bring the length to 20 minutes, and we edited out some of the pauses, but otherwise this begins with the County Commission meeting from yesterday with Commission Chairman Rex Steninger, and he is opening the public comment session at the top of yesterday's meeting. So here is Elko Live today. And following this, we'll have some comments, and there may be some people by then who have either texted or called in, because we do have some feelers out today asking if there are some other plans in the works to observe our local veterans on Veterans Day now that the Elko County Veterans Day Parade has been canceled. And I do want to say, going into this, that it is important to note that it does not serve the community or serve the county administration to point fingers at this point to. We have very hardworking Elko County staff, and the staff, it probably begs the question if the staff doesn't need better support. The Veterans Day Parade was founded many years ago. The earliest I could find is at least 2009, and it was actually formed by three previous commissioners. Commissioner Glenn Guthrie, who I exchanged a text with just shortly before this program, and Glenn and his family have since relocated, so they no longer have a home in Elko. But Commissioner Glenn Guthrie, who was a veteran of Vietnam, also the late commissioner and beloved resident, and in fact KRJC morning host, Charlie Myers, he moved to Tennessee and sadly passed away. I think it's almost 2 years ago now, and Charlie is one of the founders of the local Veterans Day Parade. And then former Commissioner John Ellison, of course, I need to mention that Charlie was also a veteran. Commissioner John Ellison, although not a veteran, was very involved in the parade, the Veterans Day Parade. Did not reach out to John. He announced his candidacy for a Nevada Senate seat, so he frankly may be busy with other things. But the Veterans Day Parade in Elko County, as of now, has been canceled, and you're about to hear the Elko County Commission meeting during public comments yesterday in which this was discussed.
Pursuant to NRS 241, this time is devoted to comments by the general public, if any, and discussion of those comments. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under this item on the agenda until the matter itself has been specifically included on a successive agenda and identified to be an action item.
For the record, Gil Hernandez, 1316 7th Street, Elko, Nevada. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm really disappointed in that, I don't know, I've heard different stories about Veterans Day being canceled. You know, to me, that's beside the point, because I'm a Vietnam veteran. I got treated like crap when I came home, so I'm kind of used to whatever's thrown at me. It doesn't matter anymore to me. I'm 75 years old, you know, and I'm trying to thin myself out of a different positions. But to hear that this happened, I'm on that committee also. I got an email for a meeting. I know some of you guys sit on that too. I couldn't make that meeting. It was only one meeting, and then we decided to cancel everything. I don't think that's right. Whoever's heading the committee needs to make sure that everybody knows. I've got the American Legion back here. They never even got a notice. I got the POW. I don't know if they got a message or not, but did you?
We did.
Okay, so they didn't get a message either. So somebody dropped the ball, and I don't think it's Michelle's fault. You know, when they first started this years ago, I was on that committee with John Ellison, Glenn Guthrie, and Charlie Myers, and they saw a need for it. And the county commissioners were more veteran friendly. I'm going to tell you that. You know, just my personal feeling. But to see this happen because we have one meeting and hardly anybody shows any interest, I'm kind of curious as to how many county commissioners sit on that. There used to be 3 that sat on that. Michelle, I don't think that's Michelle's complete job to make sure that she follows up on everything that we want as veterans or you want as county commissioners. You know, she got to draw the line. I know that she can't because she's an employee, but we need to take some of the responsibility. And I'm just saying that the idea with Spring Creek doing it, I think it's great. If they want to, you watch how many entries they have. We could have had probably the same amount of entries. People wait for the last minute to enter anything around here, it seems like. Or they'll come up that day and say, well, we'd like to enter, and you let them in. So I'm really kind of disappointed in what happened. I'd like to see something happen a little bit better. I got some of my other veterans here that belong to different organizations. You know, we don't mind sharing part of our information that we have or being part of the committee. We just don't want to do all the work. Since when do the veterans that are being recognized for Veterans Day have to do the work? I know other communities, the whole community does the thing, and all the veterans have to do is sit back and enjoy it. You know, and this community has been really great. We have late starts sometimes, but we get the job done. So I'm really kind of disappointed this happened. And, you know, for me, if you don't do it, that's fine, because you can't take Veterans Day away from me. That's a national day that is recognized to recognize all veterans. And I'm just feeling that way. I'm a little disappointed on what happened, and I don't know who did what. I hear that on Facebook, you know how crap goes around. Well, they said that the city didn't allow for funding. It's my understanding is the city and the county work together as one project. This is for veterans. It's a nonpartisan deal. So I'm asking you to reconsider or do something different, and don't put everything on Michelle. It's not her job.
Okay, well, thanks.
That's it. That's probably my time.
No, I wasn't cutting you off, but just a minute, I want to address what you said, Gil. I'm trying to address what you said, Gil. Don't just turn around and walk off. I'm a little disappointed in you too to do something like that. Right. Now you've had your say. Now let me respond to you. I was told by our county manager that we needed to cancel the parade because there was no interest in it. Is that
That's correct? Yeah. We did. We scheduled a meeting. We invited the groups that we've invited in the past. We had 0 response. We didn't get a response to say I wouldn't be here. Somebody will be here in my place. You know, we rely on you all for feedback in terms of, you know, we look to get feedback in terms of who would be the Grand Marshal. We look for feedback on, generally we try to have a theme to recognize different eras of veterans. So that feedback is important to us, and without that, it makes it pretty difficult to put on an event such as that. So we're certainly committed to doing something in the future, but we need your input. If you would help us out, maybe put your name and contact information on the sheet in the back so that we can circle back with you all next year. That would be really helpful and great, and we would love to honor you all with a parade again next year.
No, you sit down. You can't stand up and holler from the audience. And Gil, when we were told that, I was with Delmo, and we said, well, if we can't do the parade, we've got to figure out some other way to honor our veterans. And that parade, it cost us $1,500 to get a permit from the city to do a parade, and we're going to give that to the veterans. And we've got a ceremony scheduled out by the memorial out in front. We've got our next item on our agenda is to recognize the veterans. So we certainly weren't trying to ignore you or get around it in any way. We're trying to do our best. If we can't have our parade, we came up with another idea to honor you.
May I respond?
Certainly.
First of all, I'll apologize to you, Mr. Chairman, for walking away. When I'm generally give my speech or something like that, people will say, well, we want to respond to that. You didn't respond to it right away, so I figured there was not going to be a response. So I apologize on that. We hope we can work something out, We're all veterans, we're grown-ups, and we're getting thin, as you know. That's why we depend on each one of the organizations to work together, because we can't all do it by ourselves. It's just like you guys up here. You depend on everybody in the community and the county to help you with certain issues that you have. If you don't work together like I was raised, the new generation is not the same as you and I were raised, as you know. So they don't volunteer like they used to. So all we have is our older veterans, like myself, and some of the younger ones that have been, educated that way with their family style and the military commitment, that they're committed to the community. I can't tell you how many years I've spent supporting our city, our county, and different people in positions. Dilma, you know that. But I'm just kind of disappointed that this happened, and I'm just frustrated, and I know that I need to kind of maintain, so that's what I'm doing. Trying to maintain, so I respect you, and I'm sorry I turned my back on you, but generally somebody will say, well, I want to comment back to you, would have been appropriate, would let me know that you want to respond back to me. And if you do so, right now, if you want to respond back to me, let me know so I don't walk away from you right now.
Okay. I think if you're truly interested in restarting the parade, then let's get together and do it. Mm-hmm. We cancel it for lack of interest. If there's interest, we would happy. We were going to spend that $1,500 anyhow, whether it's sponsoring the parade or giving it to you directly.
I don't know that it's really about the money, Mr. Chairman. I think it's mainly that we had one meeting called. And you know as well as I do, sometimes you gotta call several meetings.
Of course.
But you gotta plan farther ahead, having a couple of meetings, and then even the month before, a week before, have another meeting so you can find out what issues you have or how you can work around some of the issues that we do have. Maybe we need to pull in more members, pull the people out from Spring Creek to help us with this. They're going to get a lot of support, and they're probably going to have a nice Veterans Day parade. And that's no bad reflection on us, because they're recognizing veterans, and that's good. And the county works with Spring Creek. It's one of the cities in your county, so we always work together, and share. If they want to do it one year and the county do it next year, I think it'd be a great deal. That way, all expenses aren't on one, on the county or on Spring Creek. If they would be willing to share that day with Elko, here, I think it would be great. But you've seen it. If we have something, Spring Creek's got to have something too. So they split the communities up a lot of time, and I don't think that's right. And that's my personal feeling living here for as long as I've been here. I've been here in Elko for 70 years, since 1970. But I've seen a lot of things come and go. But when it comes to veterans issues, I'm very, very passionate.
Oh, we all know that, Gil.
And, and I don't mean any disrespect to any of you here. I respect you totally for whatever your opinion is, because I fought for you to have that opinion. And I respect you. I might not agree with you, or if we don't agree, can we come up with a compromise? And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. I rest my case.
Yeah, thanks, Gil. Go ahead.
Well, first off, it's a similar subject, obviously slightly different, but about veterans. I owe you a personal apology, and I want to make sure this is in public. A couple months ago, when there was some concern on the CAC, Child Advocacy Center, and the location of your guys' it's not really a food bank, but your storage unit for helping veterans. We went and looked at it and saw how to be able to maybe change the fence and everything. And I've been working with Curtis to get you a formal letter of what our decision and why. I don't know why that hasn't been sent to you. I don't know, Curtis dropped the ball, I dropped the ball, but either way, both of us dropped the ball, that we don't have a formal letter to you from this group to say what decision was made. I guarantee that will be out by tomorrow. And so my apology and true public apology to you on not getting back to you right away on that. And so once again, I want to publicly apologize for that. We are working on it, and I wasn't trying to disrespect you. I just think Curtis and I thought he was sending it. I thought he was sending it, and we didn't send it.
Commissioner Garr, we appreciate that. All we want to do is we don't want to overstep our bounds. We try to play by the rules, and that's what we try to do. So when we didn't hear back, we didn't know what was going to happen, So we were concerned about that. We didn't want to get in trouble by the county or somebody else, that has the property there. So we appreciate that.
No, you absolutely got a hold of me. We instantly met, and we totally on this end dropped the ball getting back to you.
Thank you. Did anybody have any other questions of me before I turn my back?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I don't think the issue is that there's no interest in holding events. I think the question here is how to organize them. So maybe get your groups together to coalesce what you would like to see and communicate that to Amanda or myself or anyone on the commission so we can help organize this. I think the only decision that was made was not to hold a parade, but we're still gonna celebrate Veterans Day. My father was a veteran.
I know he
our
was.
family celebrates it. So just for the record, to be clear, myself, and I think I could speak for any of the commission members, we celebrate Veterans Day. We're very supportive of veterans. We want to see these in our community. It's just a question of how to organize them and who's going to be the contacts and make those plans going forward. Because like you said, a lot of our veterans are getting older. Fortunately, we haven't had any major wars. We've had Afghanistan, and it's been going on a long time. We've got a lot of veterans, but a lot of your core veterans are getting older. We need to make a plan going forward to honor you and figure out what those events are going to look like. And I love parades. I always participate in them, and I hate to see when one is canceled. So thank you.
First of all, Gil, you were talking about, fighting for us having an opinion, and that same right is extended to you and having an opportunity to come speak before us. So, I've always appreciated you as a human being and your personal sacrifice and being an advocate for the veterans. I've always appreciated that about you, and you've been there as well as many of the people through lots of things, as you mentioned. And I do think that maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here. The one thing I'd like to know is, I've heard something about Spring Creek. Do we know if Spring Creek is having a parade? Are they or are they not having a parade? I think that would be good to know. And then we can help communicate that. Perhaps I personally am not going to be available this year. I have a procedure that I'm scheduled for, so I'm not going to be available. But if there's, I know a lot of times we have a county float, but maybe we could have a float in the Spring Creek parade or something like that. But I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, it hurts me to think that you wouldn't think that we wouldn't want to reciprocate our deep devotion to you. And I had never wear a tie. I wore a tie today because we're going to go stand out in front of a memorial. And I just wanted you to know that from me, from my own personal thing, So I think that there can be misunderstandings. That's what I feel like is going on here. And I just am telling you from the bottom of my heart, I hold veterans in the very high regard, although I did not serve myself. One of the greatest things that I do is that I've done a million times alongside you guys is sing the national anthem. That's such a privilege for me to be able to do that. So I feel like this is a little bit of a misunderstanding. So, how can we improve and move forward? But I would like to know, like I said, I think the crux to my question is, do we know if Spring Creek is hosting some type of a parade or not?
I don't know whether or not they are. We had a community member reach out shortly after we decided not to do the parade, and they were going to try to do something here in Elko. So we did not ask Spring Creek because they were trying to organize something here in Elko. So I can reach out and ask them, but I don't believe so.
All right. Thanks, Gil.
I think, just everybody's passionate about veterans and certain issues. And I think that's what it's about, too. And we want to thank you for everything you've done for us in the past and continue to do for veterans. But thank you very much. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'll turn around and walk away.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Hi, I'm Brenda Horton. I'm with the American Legion. I believe Gil has already talked extensively. I would like to leave you my contact information. I spent 2 years as the Post 7 commander, 3 years as a district commander. I currently serve as both district and post adjutant, and I am the first vice commander for the whole state of Nevada. So I have all my contact information concerning veterans events. So if there's something going on with veterans events, please get a hold of me.
okay, just bring it to me and I'll make sure that our county manager gets it. You can just,
Like,
yep, come on up. Thank you. Any further public comment? This is a world record from public comment.
Well, yeah, I'd like to keep this short and sweet. I just thought I'd come ahead and add in a young man's perspective on canceling of the Veterans Day Parade.
Can you first say your name, though, sir?
My name is Dylan Edwards.
Okay.
And what I see in my generation is I see an epidemic of entitlement. I believe a large reason for this epidemic of entitlement is we are largely beginning to forget the sacrifices made by those brave men and women who went out there and laid their lives on the line and put everything down for this country. I believe this is about public recognition. If we stop publicly recognizing our veterans, this will only downward spiral further. And if it's really only $1,500, that's an insubstantial amount of money. And if there is a lack of interest and it doesn't go well, at least it will show us how to proceed in the next year.
Thank you. All right. Hi.
Hello. This is good, right? Okay.
Start off with your name, please.
I'm Josephine Mahoney, and I'm also here for the Veterans Day Parade to represent the younger generation as well. I'm not a vet. I didn't grow up seeing what they've seen. I didn't grow up seeing the world in that state. But with what's going on now, I know I'm going to walk into a world that's like that. And that's why I think it's more important than ever now for that recognition, for that appreciation to be seen, for our community to rally behind people who understand that, who have that wisdom. And from being in Elko, what I have learned is that the online presence isn't very strong here. I have had the most powerful interactions in my whole life in Elko because of the in-person conversations I've had, because of the eye-to-eye contact, because of the laughter I share with people in person. And that is such a powerful thing about Elko and all the events that are held. That's so beautiful that we do that. And that's why it's important that now we have that appreciation for our veterans, that we have that event, because it is important, because especially coming up, they have that wisdom to share with my generation. For interest, it needs to be seen in person. It needs to be known that we care about these people, that we see them walking across the street. They have to be seen for people to have interest.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes the recording that we have from yesterday's County Commission meeting. And if you're thinking like I am, it was certainly powerful and significant to hear from those two younger supporters who spoke during the meeting. Those were both extemporaneous speeches, by the way, and that was pretty powerful and impactful, and hopefully all the different interests feel supported to have young speakers attend that meeting yesterday. I did want to say that county commissioners went on during the meeting, as was agendized, to issue a proclamation. It was read by Commissioner John Carr. They paused the meeting to go out onto the courthouse steps and staged a photo op there to further honor veterans groups. I was covering the meeting online, so I was not present for that, so I cannot report on how the photo op went, but then they came back in and resumed their meeting. These are commissioners, I'll just name them for listeners who may not be aware, but Commissioner Delmo Andriozzi, John Carr, Travis Gerber, Wildy Bruff, and Rex Denninger. And as was mentioned, they are not veterans themselves, and that might have explained why there might not have been as much support for the county administration, because Michelle Petty, who's the executive secretary, the assistant to the county manager, and certainly it carries a lot of weight and works a lot of different positions for the county, it's not her sole responsibility, although she in the past certainly supported the county commissioners who created the parade. It's important to acknowledge that the county usually submits an application for a parade permit to the city each year. And that was not done this year. Again, not the administration's fault. They were simply responding to this, what they perceived as a lack of interest, and they weren't able to organize this on their own time. County commissioners, I did want to say, too, that I did speak with Elko City Manager Jan Baum this morning. So we want to correct some erroneous information that's been circulating on social media. Again, I can't underscore the significance of verifying information before you share it, before you spread it. It's like a bad disease. And erroneous information was being circulated on social media. I spoke with the city manager, Jan Baum. The city would gladly facilitate the parade as usual, the Veterans Day Parade. The county usually submits an application for a permit. That was not done this year. The city does not waive fees for parades, but this wasn't about money, as was mentioned during the meeting. So those are issues that were being circulated erroneously on social media. I also exchanged text with Jesse Barr of the Spring Creek Association. There is no Veterans Day Parade planned in Spring Creek. So yet again, more information that may have led people down a different path. And so now we apparently have no Veterans Day observance planned here in Elko County because some people were simply assuming that Spring Creek was going to have a Veterans Day parade. Jesse Barr indicated that, as usual, Spring Creek Association is happy to support local organizations, and they work with people all the time. As she described, let's see, I'm backing up here to read. We heard the county wasn't in last week. We don't mind helping close roads since it's such short notice. We certainly hope we can honor our veterans in some way. But again, there is no indication from the Spring Creek Association that there is a Veterans Day parade in Spring Creek. So more erroneous information that was being circulated on social media. I think, again, the biggest rub here is that for a timing issue, the community was not notified in advance that there were plans to cancel the Veterans Day Parade. Certainly, I think if enough groups, the ones that were spoke of during the meeting, the American Legion, VFW Post 2350, POW, MIA, Elko, just those groups alone, along with support from other state organizations and agencies, they would have come together, at least alerted the community, hey, we're in a time crunch here, you know, everybody gets busy. And the other thing, to step back and take a breath. We're all busy, and a lot of us are getting older. We've been doing these things in our community for a long time. And that's why it was so encouraging to hear from at least the two younger speakers during the meeting yesterday, whether or not they'd be willing to step up and help organize these important events in the future. That's going to have to happen, because when you have a 75-year-old Vietnam veteran, as frustrated as Gil Hernandez was, and believe me, he's done his share. He's dedicated his time. And even just in the brief exchange, you know, with Commissioner Glenn Guthrie, he did his time. The late Charlie Myers, he did his civic duty. John Ellison is continuing to serve the community. He's seeking a Nevada Senate seat. So it's time for younger people and various groups to come together. I think Gil mentioned having maybe an alternate Veterans Day parade between Spring Creek and Elko every other year. You know, we manage our football teams that way. What is that called? The summit, you know, that they have the big football game. And if Elko wins, they host, and Spring Creek wins, they host. So there are ways to work together as a community, but we've got to do that. And we've got to stop circulating nonsense on social media and hurting each other and hurting groups and driving wedges. So that's about all I'm going to say on that as a commentary. Again, I did reach out to several people. It was very short notice. This is not pointing fingers. And again, I personally want to acknowledge how hard I think both Elko City staff and Elko County staff work very hard. You have to remember, these professional administrators keep our communities afloat with budgets. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. They're the ones administering personnel issues, and they do so at the direction of the elected officials. But it is the responsibility of the county commissioners, if they want to continue the tradition of a Veterans Day parade, to follow in the footsteps of those who created the Veterans Day parade. Again, we mentioned those 3 commissioners. If they don't do some lifting in this project, then it's not fair to expect the staff of Elko County to pick that up, because that is a special interest of the former county commissioners. And again, if the county is not able to do the parade in the future, just let the community know, and I'm sure that there'll be some groups coming forward. And I'm sure that next year's parade will be even bigger and better than before. So, a couple of keynotes before we sign off for today. In exchanging text with Spring Creek Association as of midday today, Thursday, November 2nd, no Veterans Day parade was planned. If that changes, please let me know. Don't post it on social media before you let local people in positions of communicating professionally to the community. Make sure you include us. That's the Elko Daily Free Press. That's Global One Media. Sandy Beeler has an awesome radio morning show. She would love to tell you more about that. I also host the morning edition on KNCC in partnership with Elko Broadcasting Company. We have all kinds of ways to get information out. Social media is not cutting it. It's harming our community when it's not done well, and it's erroneous, and it's just not. It's not good for the community. So let us know. If something's being organized, reach out to your local media and we'll get the word out. We'll help you support that. No Spring Creek Association Veterans Day Parade planned right now. It's not too late to do something to begin planning perhaps for next year. And again, county commissioners did issue a proclamation. They did take a photo, which I assume will be on the website. I went to pick up that audio, but it was not yet on the website. elkocountynv.net. If you would like to listen to that county meeting in its entirety, again, I just edited it for brevity. There was nothing taken out of context in that or the news stories we've been airing today. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Again, it was an interesting conversation, hybrid, perhaps for the first time that I can recall doing it this way, but did reach out to a lot of people today so we could at least set the record straight about our Elko County Veterans Day Parade. And again, deep apologies for the hurt, the misunderstanding, the miscommunication. I think it's an opportunity for the community to reach out personally and individually and to thank those who've served. And you, everybody, I think that's listening probably knows at least one veteran. Some of you are veterans listening. Some of you have family members and loved ones. And this is the time to thank them and to appreciate them. And then to get to work on planning next year's Elko County Veterans Day Parade, or to move it to a different venue if that's necessary. Thank you, listeners, for your indulgence today so we could get some information out about this important issue in our community here on Elko Live on KELK.